Disturbing images of ravaged villages, burned vehicles. Displaced civilians in Manipur put the spotlight on the widening ethnic fault lines in the northeast state. Manipur has more than 35 communities inhabiting the valleys and hills of the state. But it's the long unresolved conflict between the non-tribal Meiteis and the tribal Kukis that has brought Manipur down to its knees. But why are these two groups warring? We break it down for you. The valley, which is only about 10% of Manipur's land, is dominated by non-tribal Meiteis who account for more than half of the population. The hills, comprising 90% of the geographical area, are inhabited by multiple recognized tribes, including the Kukis. A majority of the Meiteis are Hindus, while the Kukis are largely Christians. In Manipur, any non-tribal person like a Meitei can't buy land in the hill districts where tribals live. But tribals like Kukis are free to buy land in the Imphal Valley or anywhere else in the state, where most of the Meiteis live. With the rising influx of illegal migrants from Myanmar, Meiteis are afraid that they will slowly be outnumbered. But if they are granted ST status, they will be able to buy land in the hill districts, which are supposedly being encroached by illegal immigrants from Myanmar. Meiteis have been demanding ST status in order to preserve the community and save their ancestral land, tradition, culture and language. They argue that they have become considerably weak in land holdings in their own state. They allege that Kukis have increased their population owing to the 390-kilometer porous border of Manipur and Myanmar. Meiteis say they need constitutional safeguards against the outsiders. But tribal groups like the Kukis argue that Meiteis have a demographic advantage. They also point out that Meiteis are more advanced than them academically. For instance, the language of the Meitei people is included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, and many of them have access to benefits associated with the SC, OBC or EWS status. Kukis claim giving ST status to the Meiteis will trigger job losses for tribals and allow them to acquire land in the hills and push the tribals out. Adding fuel to fire, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh claimed illegal migrants from Myanmar are responsible for deforestation, poppy cultivation and drug menace in Manipur. A verification drive was ordered to identify these illegal immigrants in several Kuki-dominated villages of South Manipur. Many saw it as racial profiling and a ploy to grab tribal land. The eviction drive triggered protests and made the Manipur government withdraw from the suspension of operations with two Kuki extremist groups accused of inciting protesters. The final nail in the coffin was a recent order by the Manipur High Court directing the state government to recommend to the centre for inclusion of the Meitei community in the state list of scheduled tribes within 4 weeks. The High Court clarified that the decision for inclusion of Meiteis in the ST list would be examined by the Union Tribal Affairs Ministry only after it receives the state government's recommendation. High Court order led to weeks of anger and resentment, but it was during a tribal solidarity march that things reached a tipping point. Kukis and Meiteis clashed. This led to widespread arson and vandalism and left more than 50 people dead. The centre took over Manipur's security and brought the situation under control. But things are far from back to normal.